Part 6. The True Nature of Reality. Chapter 20. Science and Spirituality Coincide. The findings of contemporary science has profoundly altered our understanding of the true nature of reality. Modern-day physics, in accordance with the great teachings of our wise forefathers, has revealed that beyond the infinite diversity of the material world, there lies an all-pervading field of intelligence, a unified field of energy. If we transcend the limitations of our physical senses and lift the veil of material reality, a whole new world is revealed. No longer are we isolated individuals confined to the cell of our bodies, but rather, we are part of an indivisible whole, an intimate web of relationships in which everything and everyone is connected. Enlightened mystics and seers have always expressed reality in terms of the unification of all things, a sacred singularity. The Native American Indians expressed it through the digit 0, the nothingness that contains everything. They perceived empty space as the womb of creation, the great void from which everything is birthed. Ancient Vedic and Zen philosophy expresses the unity of the primordial essence of all things in the following way, paraphrased from various literature. As an actor becomes absorbed in his role as Hamlet and forgets he is Mr. Jones, so the human being gets so absorbed in his fictitious identity or ego that he forgets he's God. God is the single actor playing innumerable roles. Every individual is God, or Atman, the self of the world. Every life is a role in which the mind of God is absorbed. By the act of self-abandonment, God becomes all beings. Although it's not necessary to have a deep understanding of science to follow a spiritual path, a basic understanding of how quantum physics supports our wise ancestors' proclamations is extremely useful in enabling us to fully appreciate the true nature of reality and embrace our true potential. During the first 3 decades of this country, Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, and Werner Heisenberg, 3 genius scientists, observed that the material world no longer resembled a well-oiled machine consisting of innumerable separate objects, but rather an indivisible whole, a network of relationships that included the human observer in a vital way. If I were to tell you that everything you perceived as physical, including your physical body, is actually 99.999% empty space, you would probably think I was crazy. But it's true. Furthermore, scientists have recently discovered that 99.999% we perceive as empty space is actually teeming with intelligence. Even more intriguing is that this intelligence may well be the womb of creation itself. From this nothingness arises a subtle dimension known as the quantum field. And from the quantum field, the material world emerges. In essence, what we have is an unfolding of pure beingness, or pure consciousness, into various levels of existence. Let's explore this together. The building blocks of everything material, including our so-called physical bodies, are atoms. Our bodies, for instance, consist of cells which, in turn, are comprised of molecules. And these molecules are made up of atoms. If we continue the process peeling away the layers that make up what appear to be solid objects, we find that the atom is made up of minute particles that are traversing empty space at phenomenal speeds. Now, here's where things start to get really interesting. Scientists found that these tiny particles have no solidity whatsoever. Yes, that's correct. The building blocks of every material object are non-material. The foundation of the material world is formless. Everything we perceive as physical or solid is actually insubstantial, a vibrating pattern of energy. If our eyes were replaced with subatomic lenses, we would see the world in a whole new light. A vast sea of energy and information known as the quantum field. A quantum is the smallest indivisible unit of something. For example, a photon is a quantum of light. An electron is a quantum of electricity. A graviton is a quantum of gravity. The totality of all quanta, plural, comprises what is now referred to as the quantum field. Quanta have peculiar properties. When we observe them, they act as minute solid particles. And when we don't, they become non-material radiations or packets of energy. Chairs, tables, trees, physical bodies, and the book you're reading right now are all vibrating patterns of energy until we look at them. As soon as we observe them, they freeze into position and appear solid. However, this perceived solidity is an interpretation of our limited senses. In actuality, the entire cosmos is a huge vibrating web of energy. I know you may be thinking that this is all very interesting, but it has absolutely nothing to do with our well-being or attaining our true potential. So, let me assure you that this information is life-changing. Understanding the true nature of reality and how we interface with it will radically change every aspect of your life. Bear with me a while longer and all will be revealed. The energy patterns we refer to as our physical bodies are equipped with a mechanism known as perception. It is this faculty of our physiology that magically transforms the energy and information of the quantum field into the three-dimensional world we call reality. And this is how it happens. When patterns of energy impinge on our nerve receptors, signals are sent to the brain. The brain then interprets this information as the three-dimensional world we call reality. What modern physics is telling us is that the material world is actually a construct that takes place in our head. Nothing exists outside of us, except waves of energy and information. The material world is actually a construct that takes place in our head. Nothing exists outside of us except waves of energy and information. These patterns of energy are magically transformed into material objects when we observe them. When we are not looking, they are patterns of energy. When we fix our eyes on them, they assume solid form. As this can be a difficult concept to grasp, let me give you an example to clarify the process. The air around us is filled with television signals containing sound and video information. We can't see or hear them because they vibrate at a frequency that's way beyond the limited scope of our physical senses. When these signals reach our television sets, they are decoded and interpreted into a form we can comprehend. For example, sound and video. The energy and information of the quantum field can be likened to a TV signal before it is decoded. Patterns of invisible energy and information traveling through empty space. Our system of perception can be compared to the decoding equipment in that it transforms this invisible energy into the three-dimensional reality we're experiencing right now. Whereas the television signals are projected onto your TV screen. The information and energy of the quantum field is projected onto your internal screen and deemed reality. The experience is similar to putting on a virtual headset. When you don the headset, your senses are tricked into thinking you are immersed in another reality, when in actuality, the source of your entertainment is simply electrical energy that has been processed to give the illusion of a virtual environment. In exactly the same way, our system of perception transforms the energy of the quantum field into the three-dimensional virtual environment we call reality. However, unlike the virtual reality headset, our system of perception is an integral part of our physiology. Therefore, it cannot be removed. So we find ourselves trapped in the material world, at least in our normal state of consciousness, unable to know the true nature of our reality. There are two fundamental reasons why this information is of paramount importance to our evolution. Firstly, not only have scientists deduced that every physical object is a vibrating pattern of energy, they have also found that these patterns are interconnected and interrelated. In fact, they have discovered that everything and everybody is part of one indivisible whole. Radioisotope studies can prove that you have a million atoms in you right now that were once in the body of Napoleon, Jesus, or Socrates. In fact, you can't separate yourself from anything or anybody that has ever existed. In the last few weeks, trillions of atoms have passed through your body that have passed through the body of every other species on this planet. Much like the World Wide Web, you are part of a universal web of consciousness, through which you can communicate, access limitless knowledge, and manifest your every desire. Secondly, scientists have continuously found that subatomic particles, or quanta, are intelligent in their own right. They are little entities which have the ability to respond to the expectations of whoever is observing them. For example, the results of experiments have been found to differ in accordance with the beliefs and expectations of the people observing them. On numerous occasions, it has been found that if the people observing an experiment believed it would work, then it did. Conversely, when conducting the same experiment with observers that didn't believe, it failed. In light of this evidence, we can only deduce that our minds have the capacity to communicate directly with the underlying intelligence infused in all matter. Rather than thinking of matter as a benign, inert substance, we need to view it as a vital organic field of intelligence which responds to thought. The universe is a living, dynamic organism that responds to our thoughts and expectations. It is by virtue of this interaction that we create our reality. As the potter's hands mold clay into objects, so your mind molds the universal intelligence into the events of your future. Remember, Albert Einstein phrased it in the following way: imagination is the preview of life's forthcoming events. Whatever we focus on intently in our mind will actualize. Our energized thoughts and beliefs mold the potential energy of the universe into our forthcoming experience. In this respect, our mind is the womb of creation. There is a universal law that says, whatever you emanate, you attract. Emanate hostility and you will attract hostility. Emanate scarcity thinking and you will attract poverty. Emanate abundance and you will attract wealth and prosperity. The choice is yours. Our wise ancient forefathers told us that the external world is a mirror image of a formless, invisible world. Now, science is reinforcing their findings. The external world is a mirror of your state of mind. Change your mind, change your life. What modern-day science is actually telling us is that we live in a field of infinite possibilities. Every conceivable possibility already exists. The possibility of you being in the pinnacle of health, the possibility of you being gravely ill, the possibility of you being extremely wealthy, and the possibility of you living in poverty all exist simultaneously in this field of never-ending possibilities. To understand this concept, instead of thinking of time as linear, running in a straight line, we must start thinking in terms of vertical time. Scientists no longer speak of time in isolation. They speak of the space-time continuum. Linear time is a measurement of movement and change through space. When we adhere to the concept of linear time, there is a time lapse between identifying our desires and their manifestation. Desires have to be shaped and constructed through the passage of time. In the vertical time paradigm, however, every conceivable possibility already exists. We exist in a realm in which there are an infinite number of parallel realities, a multiverse. We just have to figure out how to access the one we desire. Imagine going into a cosmic superstore filled with every conceivable desire and choosing what you wanted. You had an abundance of money, but when you got to the checkout, you were informed that the only valid currency was the power of intent. The wise shop assistant advised you to go home, find a quiet place, and imagine manifesting your desire. She told you to imagine it so vividly that you evoked a powerful feeling within. This feeling would be propagated out into the universal intelligence and signposts in the form of people, ideas, solutions, direction, and insights would start to appear and lead to your goal. Although these synchronicities seemed to come from different sources, they were all embodiments of the one intelligence which is conspiring to help you. How exciting would that be if only it were true? Well, let me inform you. It is true. Alchemists have used this phenomenon to great advantage since time immemorial. The trick in applying it successfully is to learn how to use the power of intent to maximum effect, as we shall see.